connection to Lincolnville and to learning about Debbie McDade was really wonderful, because our first experience was going to Excelsior, and we were upstairs for an event and then had the opportunity to tour downstairs. And it was just this eye-opening thing for me to see all of the history that was there that had to do with jazz. I mean, this Brooklyn kid who grew up hearing about Harlem all the time and what was going on in Harlem, and then having some experiences growing up, not growing up as much as in my younger years, of having some very small gatherings with people like Oscar Peterson and Miriam McPartland and Dick Hyman, and that type of thing. It was really an honor and a privilege. And so to come across all this information about Debbie and Lincolnville was just this real eye-opening, exciting thing. This was happening here, and there were other jazz legends here also, but none of the, I guess the word would be stature, that she achieved with the remarkable work that she did in New York and the reputation that she gained. This is just so unbelievably important to the neighborhood, because the neighborhood's going through a transition, and as that's taking place, we're discovering that more and more people know very, very little about the important Black history that's taken place in St. Augustine, right from its founding 450 years ago to what's happening today as well. And so much of it, as it's becoming like a onion that's getting peeled, and people are saying, oh, you know, it played that role in the civil rights movement, and this role with Black education and all of that. This is a real gem, because jazz, like so many things that are culturally bound to a particular area, this crosses all kinds of lines, and it opens up possibilities for conversation, enjoyment, and all of that. So getting that history about Debbie several years ago, and then meeting her several times over at Jazz Vespers at my husband's church, was just this really warm kind of thing. It helped me tie pieces of my past together. It grounded me more in the neighborhood that I'm living in, and so many of the things that I believe in as far as inner city life. And to look around at the audience, so many people would talk to me afterwards and say, I've never been to Lincolnville before, but they were here to see and hear a jazz performer. And they discovered it's a neighborhood. You know, foremost, it's a neighborhood. It's not an area of the city that you're not supposed to go. It's a very welcoming, very warm, and very inviting place to be.
Why was Jazz Vespers created in the first place? And where is it?
Jazz Vespers takes place on the third Sunday of every month, except for a couple going into the summer, at St. Cyprian's Episcopal Church, which is on the corner of Martin Luther King Avenue and Lovett Street in Lincolnville. So you have to move half mile plus from King Street downtown to get there, and it takes you through, you know, a nice piece of the neighborhood. I have to say it's the cutest church in all of St. Augustine. And the Vespers was created to do several different things. And one was to bring people into Lincolnville and into an experience in Lincolnville that was spiritual, it was positive, and it crossed denominations and all of that. And we've had some of the greatest music from not only St. Augustine, but some from Jacksonville also. I mean, the place gets packed, and people come very, very specifically because of the performers.
Now, the musical about Debbie McDade and her music, Sweet Emmeline, the music of our best friend, Debbie, will be performed at the Lincolnville Museum Cultural Center. And the performance will be, like at 7:30, but a tour of the museum is also be involved in the ticket. How do you feel about that connection between the museum and the musical we're going to be performing in the upstairs room?
I think it's going to be eye-opening for many of the people who come. There is a lot going on at the Lincolnville Museum and Cultural Center to reinvigorate it in a lot of different ways. And so some people have passed it many times, but have never gone through the doors to see what's behind those doors. And I think because so many people have moved to St. Augustine from other places in the country, and I keep running into a lot of Brooklyn folk and Manhattan folk and all of that, this particular piece for them is going to be, I think, my projection is they're going to be surprised to experience it and see that that's part of now the city that they call home or the city that they're visiting. And I think it'll be a very positive, reinforcing kind of thing. And people sometimes before a play, after a play, intermission, try to figure out what they're supposed to do with themselves. And that's really the real most positive part of this. There is something to do and experience that directly connects it all.
So if you had to go on television and promote the show Sweet Emmeline and promote Debbie McDade and promote jazz, what would you say to get someone there to see this outstanding woman's history?
I would invite them to hear an untold story, which first of all, at least they'll stop to think, well, untold, what's untold? And St. Augustine has lots of untold stories, but this is living history. And I think that living history piece is very compelling in a day where reality plays such an important role in what it is we want to experience culturally, visually, emotionally. And I think Debbie's story brings all of those elements together with music being the theme throughout it. I think it'll be something that, if I was trying to invite you to this, it'll be an experience that of St. Augustine and of Lincolnville and of a piece of history that we certainly don't want to get lost as we go through the 21st century and beyond.